Bore da, pawb. Good morning, everyone. If you don't know me, my name's Steve Williams, and I'm a business support officer with Swansea Council. Before we start, can I remind you that this session is recorded, so if you prefer for your face not to be shown, please turn off your camera by clicking the camcorder icon at the top of your screen. This session will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel to allow our current and future startup business community access to this informative content. So it may be something that attendees today may want to revisit to have a look back over the presentation, because there may be some things that they may have missed during it. I'd also politely ask you to mute your microphone to avoid any background noise which could distract the group. So first and foremost, I'd like to welcome you all to the first monthly Business Swansea Startups Enterprise Club session. Business Swansea has recently been launched by Swansea Council to provide a comprehensive business support service to our new and established businesses in Swansea. We understand that there are many Swansea residents starting their own businesses and require advice and guidance to help turn their business ideas into reality. Every month, we will invite a different business expert to deliver a presentation on an essential startup topic, which I'm sure you will find extremely useful and informative. You will also have the opportunity to ask our experts questions related to the topic and your business, so I strongly advise you to utilise this opportunity. So without further ado, I'm delighted to welcome today's guest speaker, Rebecca Wade. Rebecca is the CEO of the web design and digital marketing company Purple Dog. Rebecca has extensive experience within this field and is passionate about helping small businesses with their online marketing. You will have the opportunity to ask Rebecca any questions at the end of the presentation, or you can write your question in the chat and she will go through them at the end. For those of you who are not familiar with Teams, the chat is the speech bubble at the top of your screen. So feel free to utilize that through the presentation. Over to you, Rebecca.
Hi everyone. You can probably tell from my accent that I'm not local to Wales. I have recently moved to the Llanelli area in the last couple of months. It's been a dream, shall we say, for certainly the last couple of years to be able to relocate to the area. And literally, if I look out this window here to my left, I can see the beach. So that's been really great for me. One of the good things to have finally come out of lockdown. I do have Welsh heritage. My mother was Welsh, and that's one of the reasons why I know this area so well. I have been running Purple Dog for 7 years, back down south, so originally the Southampton New Forest area, and we've had a number of social media clients, done several social media training sessions in the past, and we also do WordPress website design. This is a real beginner's session, and I know that Steve and Matt are obviously looking as well in the chat. We're going to give a good overview beginner session of social media, and hopefully that will spark perhaps some questions and some topics of things that you would like to then cover in more detail. And if you let Matt and Steve know what you would like to cover in more detail and go into greater depth, then they can create sessions in the Startup Club for you to attend on your needs. But let's take an overview then on choosing the right social media platform for your business and get started. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Is that the right screen? Can you now see a lovely purple screen? Steve, Matt, can you see the right screen? Good. Okay, so unless it wasn't already obvious, billions of people are on social media and visiting different social media platforms every day. And I'm going to throw some stats at you and we'll go through them in a bit more detail, just so that you get an overview of how many people are using these platforms. So Facebook currently has, or at the time that I checked these stats recently, has over 2.7 billion daily active users. YouTube has 2 billion active users. Instagram has 1 billion. Twitter has approximately 200 million. LinkedIn has over 700 million. Pinterest has over 450 million, and TikTok has over 500 million. So you can see that your customers are clearly going to be on social media, and therefore it's a great way of reaching out to them. It's one of the most powerful ways that you can grow your business. And whilst there is a time element, it is free to get started, unlike starting a website and creating an online presence that way. So social media is great because it allows you to attract new customers and connect with your audience that you never would otherwise. And if your business isn't location dependent, like mine isn't, thankfully, you can reach customers thousands of miles away through social media. You don't need to rely on your local custom. And by posting on social media, you can even attract customers from other countries. So I, for example, have managed to keep all my clients back down south. I've created new connections on social media locally, and I've got my first clients in Wales. And I've done that through the power of social media and networking. So social media is really powerful because you can get your business in front of a vast audience quite quickly. And the key to social media is about being consistent and picking the right tools for you. So if we're going to focus on starting with social media, it does raise some important questions. What is the best platform to use? And the answer isn't going to be the same for everyone because everyone's business is different. What tactics should you then use when you choose the right platforms to then be seen by the most people so that you're not wasting your time investing in social media? Are there certain types of content that you should be making that perform better than others? And how can you go about being consistent, posting regular content? And that is one of the things that a lot of small businesses struggle with. Many people think if they just start on posting on social media, they're going to be successful, they're going to attract new customers. Unfortunately, like most things in life, it's not always as easy as that. The best way is to think first, put a strategy in place, and have a plan about what are your aims and what's the best way to go about it. And we're going to go through some simple strategy steps to help you get started this morning. So if you don't have a plan, you'll find yourself unable to build an audience quite as quickly as if you did have a plan. So this is what we're going to cover this morning. We're going to look at how to choose the right platforms for you, and we'll take a brief look at the different platforms so you can start getting an idea of what might be right for you and your business, why it's important to kind of create a posting schedule, thinking about your content on social media, engaging for success, and not being afraid to experiment. So let's start with choosing your platform. So as I sort of whistled through at the start, there are a number of different social media platforms, and we're going to talk about the most popular, the Instagrams, sorry, I've got building work on if you can hear that in the background, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the LinkedIn, the Twitters, we'll touch on TikTok and YouTube as well. So what I would say to all businesses is do not worry about being seen on all of these platforms. You are much better off choosing a couple of platforms and focusing on those rather than trying to get on all and be across all of them. Depending on what your business is, it's not going to be relevant to be on all platforms. For someone like me, unfortunately, who teaches social media, I do need to keep abreast of most of them and have to be on most of them, but even I have my favorites and invest my time into particular platforms strategically. So we'll go through the platforms and you can start thinking about, well, which are going to be the right platforms for my business. So the first thing that you need to know is your audience. You need to know who your customers are. You need to know where they spend most of their time on social media. What do they like to interact with in terms of brands and businesses, what sites influence them to purchase, and who are the biggest influencers already in your industry, and what platforms do they use. So that's a very good place to start, getting out some pen and paper before you even think about, and just going back to business basics. Who are your customers? Who are your audience? Then when you've got that, knowing where they are and how they use social media, you obviously want to be where your audience is. So for example, if your audience is younger, you might want to focus on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, where they have a really strong following along millennials. If your focus is on business professionals, LinkedIn might be a really good place to start. So you need to be thinking about who are your audience, where they are, and interacting with them on those platforms. So let's take a look at the most popular social media platforms so you can get an idea of which might be right for you. So Instagram is one generally everybody's heard about. It's been around for quite a while, along with YouTube. There are lots of monthly active users. So there's a chance that your customer is going to be on Facebook. However, along with lots of people being on Facebook also means that you're competing with everybody else for their attention. So that's one thing to consider. The largest age group, and it gets older over the years, is actually at the moment still 25 to 34. But there is a larger age group. There's a large age group that are higher than that as well. You won't find too many younger people necessarily on Facebook. They're more likely to be on the likes of TikTok and so. And the gender split is fairly even. So depending on if you're targeting females in particular or males in particular, you're likely still to find them on Facebook, and they spend quite a lot of time on there. Now, one thing that we'll talk about in a little bit of detail later is formats, because when you post on social media, different platforms allow you to post in different ways, and some are more flexible than others. So for example, Facebook's really flexible. You can post just text updates, so you can just write some text. You can share links, although Facebook doesn't like it if you constantly share links, because of course you're then drawing them away from Facebook to your website. For example, you can post videos and you can post images, and you can post a combination of those things. So you can write a post with an image, add a link, and add some text. So Facebook's really flexible in terms of the types of format you can post. So you need to think about, are you able, if you're going to want to use these platforms, to be able to post the formats that they expect you to use. Facebook is really good for building relationships and showing the human side of your business. And if you're going to want to use Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, you're going to need to have a Facebook business page for your business anyway. So moving on to Instagram, again, similar sort of age group, slightly more female split, but fairly even again, relatively same amount of time spent. Now, the difference with Instagram is it is more photo and video based. So it's much better if you've got a business that can leverage really good photos and video. You'll notice that links, whilst you can have one in your bio, in your introduction, you can't share links in every post. So if you're doing a lot of written articles on your website that you want to link back to, until you get 10,000 followers, that's quite difficult to utilize. So it's very photo based, although it is very good for physical product shopping if it's a particularly visual products that you've got. So that's worth bearing in mind. Instagram is coming up quickly with the young users, although TikTok is taking over the younger market at the moment. Now, Twitter is a little bit different again. It's got quite a slightly older audience and quite sways more towards the male audience. And when people are using Twitter, they tend to go on in quick sessions, quick bouts. And Twitter used to be a very, very heavy text format, and it still keeps its text format. And they are shorter text posts. So it was designed initially kind of as a news feed, and being able to keep up to date with events and breaking news as they happen. It's expanded over time. You can now add videos, you can add images, you can add links, but text still kind of reigns key with Twitter. And it's fast. So the feed will go quickly. So if you post once a week on Twitter, that's not necessarily going to be enough, because you're going to get lost in the noise of the followers. So you've got to bear that in mind. How much time can you put into it? Can you do regular updates? But it is a very easy platform to people to share and retweet your content from. So LinkedIn is obviously very much B2B, again, very even split, and again, a much larger audience. But millennials are starting to see the power of LinkedIn and are coming up and making more of the platform. And it tends to be a higher educated, higher earning B2B demographic. They tend to be accessing it not necessarily every day. It's more of a check-in weekly or a check-in monthly. But again, LinkedIn's really good in terms of the flexibility of the content you can post. So you can do just long form text, you can share links with text, video and images again. It's particularly good for editorial content and establishing yourself as a trusted leader in your industry. And it's really good for engaging and getting leads through engagement and conversation. So then Pinterest is slightly different again, and you'll notice that this sways much more towards the female gender, and it's not got quite so many users, but this is again is a really image heavy platform. In fact, if you're scrolling through it, it's just images, but with every image you need to have a link back to something, so ideally back to your website. So when they click on that image, it will go then to that link. So it can be really good at driving traffic to your website. Because it's a graphics heavy platform, it does lend itself well to businesses like decor, food, art, fashion, makeup, wedding, travel and other businesses similar to that. But it can also be really good for e-commerce and driving traffic to your website shop. So for example, having moved recently, I spent more time again on Pinterest looking at decor inspiration for decorating gardens and rooms, etc. So some people use it consistently, some people use it as a kind of almost like a search engine and inspiration. So then we've got YouTube. Again, it's been around for a while, now owned by Google. It's got a really large sort of age group basis. A lot of younger people are now using YouTube more and more, particularly for watching short videos in their particular interests. And they tend to spend longer on this platform due to the nature of obviously the videos being longer that you have to spend time on and watch rather than just scrolling and clicking through. And then of course, once one video ends, it carries on to the next one. But with YouTube, you do have to create video content. So if you're not someone that's going to be able to create video content regularly, then YouTube perhaps isn't going to be the right platform for you. So TikTok is one of the newer social media platforms on the block. It's not one that I'm particularly active on as a business, mostly because my audience aren't on TikTok because they're too young and they're already fairly social media and internet savvy. But during lockdown, there has been a larger age group going on there more for fun and watching short videos. And there's quite a trend with TikTok up and coming. So what I would say is, if you're at all concerned about, okay, well, my audience might be on Facebook at the moment, but it might change. What you can do is you can go to all of these platforms and sign up with your username so that you have a user login for your business. Don't necessarily be active on all of them. Don't brand them out, do all your bios and all the information. But should your strategy change over time, and should the platforms change over time with where your audience moves to, because what tends to happen with social media, as us slightly older generation tend to find out about these platforms, the younger kids move on to something else because they don't want to be on the same platform as mum and dad and grandma. So you can certainly sign up for all of these platforms, but then only be active on a couple. So that's what I tend to do. If I see a platform up and coming, I'll go in and I'll grab my username and experiment a little bit and have a little nose. But if I don't think my audience is there and I don't think it's going to be beneficial for me to spend time on it, I won't go in and regularly use it and interact, because it's not worth my time. It's better I focus where my audience are going to be. So of course, the other thing to consider is, what are you actually selling? What are you trying to interact with people when you're on these social media platforms? Because as I've mentioned, depending on the products or services you sell, one platform may be better than another for you. So as I've said, if you've got physical products and you can use photos of those products, a visual platform like Instagram or Pinterest may be the best platform for you. On the other hand, if you are primarily focused on selling services, or you have products that a service that's not particularly photogenic, so for example, I remember like the chiropodist once saying to me, well, I can't really share, it's not great to be sharing lots of manky feet all over social media. So it may be then a platform like Facebook, Twitter or LinkedIn might work more effectively, where you can use text to explain a little bit more about your service, what you're selling, rather than relying on the heavy visuals. So I'm going to give you an example. So this group, Business Swansea, has recently just started up and come into fruition. Obviously, they're service-based. They're offering a service to reach and engage with businessmen and women in the region and connect with support organisations and support businessmen and women in the region. So it's fairly split. It's obviously B2B. So what they need to be able to share, and of course they're just starting up, is they want to be able to share links to events easily, like this one. They want the ability to start conversations via text, questions and polls. They may want to share video or imagery where applicable. And they obviously want to also share content from other support organisations like For the Region or Business Wales, and also highlight business successes in the area. So bearing that in mind, and the platforms we've just gone through, you should be able to start to get an idea of what platforms are going to work well for them. It's not going to be Pinterest because it's not a highly visual product that they're selling. It's more of a service based. They want to connect with both men and women, and Pinterest is a high level of women. And so you can start to narrow it down to perhaps 2 or 3 platforms that are going to be useful. So it makes sense that they have indeed chosen Twitter, which allows them to do all of those things, is more B2B and is quick and up to date and easy to share content, and also LinkedIn. And I'm sure, I can't see the chat at the moment, but I'm sure Steve and Matt will put the links to these social media platforms so that you can join and follow along and connect with these platforms. So that's why that works well for them. And not all platforms are going to be the best for every business. So you've got to think about where is the best place for your time. It's the 80-20 principle, thinking small rather than big, particularly when you're starting out. Focus on one or two, pick your platform and commit to posting regularly and engaging on it. So once you've worked out which are the right platforms for you to spend your time, then you need to think about, okay, well, how am I going to post so that I'm consistent? And you need to think about the sort of content you're going to post and how often you're going to post and how can you manage that. So don't get all excited and eager in the first instance and post like 7 times a week and then not have the time to commit to that regularly. Because, you know, as business owners, we have lots of hats on and lots of things to achieve and manage, and you need to work out your optimum frequency of posting and be consistent with it. So if you can only post once a week, do that, post once a week and try and be consistent with posting once a week. It's much better for you to do that than to post 7 times in 1 week and then nothing for the next 4. And I've got analytics to prove that that is the case with many businesses. So creating a social media calendar is going to help you, and it could literally be as simple as, well, I'm going to post on Monday, Wednesday and Friday to Instagram, and on Mondays I'm going to post this type of content, on Wednesdays I'm going to post this type of content, on Friday I'm going to post that type of content. And that means that you're not having to think every time you come to post, what am I going to post about? So having a simple calendar in place is going to help you. So you do need to think about how much can you manage to post, and then also, is that going to work for that platform? So like I've said, if you can only post once a week or a couple of times a week, Twitter probably isn't going to be the best platform for you because it moves so fast. However, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is going to be fine for that kind of frequency. So bearing that in mind at the start is also key. And of course, you need to think about what sort of content you're going to post before you start. So your business is going to shape the types of content that you share. So for example, if you're a life coach, you might want to regularly share inspirational quotes and photos. If you're a health practitioner, daily health tips could be incredibly helpful for your audience. So you need to think about, when you're sitting down to think of your content plan and your posts, think of what is going to add the most value to your audience, because it's not all about just getting your products out there and selling. It's about how can you help them. It's about know, like and trust. And once they know, like and trust you and you're adding value to them, your audience, they are more likely to engage and purchase services or products from you. So using a social media calendar is going to help you be consistent with your posting, and that's one of the biggest challenges that business owners face, is being consistent with posting. And that's another reason why I say don't go and just get started on all platforms, because you're just not going to be able to keep up with that. So your content on social media. So every post that you send out on social media, you should ask yourself the question, is this going to be helpful in some way to my audience? And if the answer is yes, then it's worth posting. If it's not, then you probably shouldn't necessarily be posting it. Your post should help your audience to do at least one of the following. Think about something in a new way. Take action like they never have. could make them laugh or smile. You can have some fun with social media. It is, after all, social media, but they should also learn something valuable. And if you know your audience well, you should know what they'll find valuable. So here are just some ideas. And of course, depending on your business will depend on if it's relevant for you. So certain posts could be inspirational quotes, motivational posts. It may or may not be relevant for your business. Tips and tactics. And if you've got physical products, it could be how to use those products or ways of getting the best out of the products. So this is where tutorial videos could come in well. You could even use live video, going live, and pictures that will motivate your audience. So let's take an example. I'm going to go with the health and wellness coach. So if I was a health and wellness coach, I could post inspirational quotes about being healthy. I could share tips and tactics for eating healthier, or short videos on how to perform a particular exercise. I could do a live video in which I answer questions from my audience and give advice, or I could even share perhaps some clients who might be happy with me to share them performing challenging exercises or their development over time. And again, try when you're sharing on social media to experiment with different formats and find out what is going to work well. So it is easier to share text and photos, but sometimes experiment with video or asking questions to see what's going to resonate most with your audience. And if you're sat here already thinking, oh my God, there's so much to do, I haven't got the time to post all the time, I've got to do the accounts, I've got to run the service, I've got to keep in contact with my clients. The good news is there are tools out there to help you, and the best way, like most things in business, is to batch these things. And so I always advise clients to, once they've got their calendar, it's much easier to spend the morning, one morning, sat down creating a load of posts. So you can do, if you're doing inspirational quotes, for example, it's much easier to create and think of or find 5 inspirational quotes that you post every Monday in one session, and then schedule them. There are tools that you can use to schedule to social media, like Hootsuite, like Buffer, Plannerly, all these different types of tools that you can use to then plan in a session, plan out your content, and help you keep consistent, which should then free you up for something that's perhaps even more important once you get going, which is engagement. Because again, it's called social media for a reason. It's not enough, sadly, to create your content, post on social media, and then go on your way. The whole point and the real power of social media is that you want to create a conversation between you and your followers and your potential, and hopefully soon, customers. Conversation is key, and the more conversation you have, the more likely you'll get custom and clients through social media. So you need to be responding to comments, you need to be answering their questions, you need to be solving their problems. And you can also, particularly if it's B2B and there's different organizations and businesses that you interact with, you should be then going to their platforms and engaging on their social media, interacting with the posts they're putting out. It's not a one-way street. It's a conversation between you and those who follow you. And conversation involves both speaking and listening. So as we'll take questions at the end, I'll be listening and trying to help. So if you want to build relationships and gain clients through social media, you need to be having conversations and not just publishing content. And it's not as easy as it's not as straightforward as putting together perhaps a glossy brochure website that you build. you think about the copy or before you do it. It is very much about showing a little bit more and being authentic. People will recognize if you're being fake, and you don't want to be a big business who just posts on social media and then never engages in conversation. So authenticity is attractive to people on social media. They are there to be social, to engage, to interact. And the other thing to, of course, consider is social media platforms work in the way where, particularly where they have billions and billions of people active, they can't show every post that everyone makes to everyone. So they will prioritize posts and share posts that have the most engagement. So if they see that people are engaging with a post, they will then show that to more people. So the tactic here to get your posts seen by more people is engagement. The way you engage with people around the post that you're putting out, the more engagement you get and interact back, the more that's going to be shown to other people. So that's really important. Engagement is key once you get up and running, because the goal is for you to create real relationships with your audience. So how can you perhaps start that conversation? Well, the first, perhaps most obvious one, but one many people forget when posting to social media, is to ask questions. What do they need from you? Like I said at the start, put in the chat what you need to cover in more detail. So if we've got a large proportion of people here who need help with Instagram and getting started with Instagram, Steve and Matt can put together a further session down the line on help with Instagram. Or is it about how to do videos? What tools do I need? How can I make short videos? So asking questions is key. You don't have to do live videos to talk to your audience. You can conduct polls. You can just simply put a question out on social media, and you can ask others to comment on a particular topic that's relevant to your business. Or you can even, you have to be a bit careful, make statements that will perhaps get people talking around that statement. But key to it all is about being real and authentic, and showing your voice on social media at the right time. Of course, you can also join groups that are relevant to your industry. So you can join the groups, engage in the conversation, and try to help other people out in those groups. And by being useful, people are then going to recommend you. And at the end of it all, it's not perfect. What supposedly works for one business will not work for another, even in the same industry. So it's really important that you experiment. You'll need to experiment to see what works best. Do images work best for you? Do images and text work best for you? Does video work best for you? So when you first start out, plan a variety of different posts, and all of these platforms have analytics that you can take a look at and see what is resonating with your audience. When is the best time to post? So you can read up what the best time to post is for your industry, but does it actually work? So if you do post at Monday 7 p.m, for example, are you finding that you're getting as many responses as Wednesday 9 a.m? So experiment at the start with different times and see what works, and then repeat that. Some types of content are going to simply resonate more with your audience, and experimentation is critical, because they do change. The platforms change, the algorithms change, the audiences change. And if you find that something that you've been doing for a while, even myself, I find things have been working for a while and then suddenly they don't work because the algorithm has changed or the audience has shifted. Like during lockdown, it used to be really good to post in the evening, but during lockdown it was actually better to post around 11 a.m. because people had sort of had enough of working at home by then, or trying to entertain the kids during school, and they just needed that break, and that's when they were on social media. So posting at a different time during that lockdown situation was key. And if you don't experiment with those different times, you'll never know that. So in summary, and I'm aware that I've done whistle stop really fast, but I wanted to leave time for questions. With social media, you can attract new clients, you can build your brand, you can establish yourself as a thought leader, you can connect with new audiences, create meaningful relationships, connect with other influencers, and so much more. If you need more help, you can certainly go to my website. You will find me on most platforms at Purple Dog. So these ones, I tend to focus more on Instagram, but that's my preference. And I want to say to you, please don't, it can seem intimidating and it can seem a big job. That's why I advise you to confirm the goals that you want to achieve. Think about your audience. Think about the sort of content that you can post and how often you can manage to post, and then choose that platform accordingly and make your plan and experiment and review. But if you need more help, you can of course get in touch, and if you let Steve and Matt know what things you would like to delve into in more detail, then I'm sure they can come back and with more sessions to dive deeper into these topics. But we had to start somewhere. So shall I stop sharing and then I can hopefully see and come back? Have I stopped sharing or not? Have I stopped sharing, Steve?
I can no, I can still see.
Still see. Hang on. Stop sharing. Ta-da! Okay. So, dare I ask how many questions we've got?
So, thanks very much, Rebecca. That was really great and informative, and you know, you've given a really good overview of digital marketing, social media, and I'm sure the group have benefited from that. I certainly have been a bit of a dinosaur around social media, so thanks very much. Could I ask, is there any questions? Now we've got Rebecca here. Obviously, we've got one hand up here.
Yeah.
If there is any further questions, you'll see an icon with the with a hand. If you just click on that with your hand, it'll notify Rebecca of any questions you've got. So we've already got two, Rebecca. So if I can ask, so who have we got here first? Let me just have a look in. Rebecca, can I ask you to go through the questions?
I can do it, yeah, Steve. It's all right. We've got Angela first. Should we bring Angela in first?
Yeah, bring Angela in. And
no, actually, sorry, I do apologise. I accidentally pressed that, so cancel that.
Okay, Mary then.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rebecca. That was really helpful. You mentioned about if you want a business Instagram account that you need a Facebook page, and I didn't understand. Can you just explain a little bit more why you have to have a Facebook page to have the Instagram?
Of course. So Instagram started out not joined Facebook. Instagram started off as a photo sharing platform predominantly, and as being very instant, and you can have an Instagram account, but if you want to change it to a business Instagram account that then allows you to do things like schedule, see analytics, add more contact information to your bio, because it's now owned by Facebook, they will only allow you to create your business profile if you have a business Facebook page. So you have to then create a business Facebook page to connect to, even if you never ever use your business Facebook page.
So how do you tell Instagram you've got the business Facebook page in order to do the?
So when you go in and it says switch to a business, you go into settings and it will ask you, do you want to switch to a professional account or a business account? And there are a couple of accounts. There's like a creator account and a business account. And for most people here, unless you are, you know, particularly in fashion and influencing and that kind of thing, or you're an artist, generally it's going to be a business account. And when you click on yes, I want to switch to a business account, it will then ask you to connect to your existing Facebook page, or it will start creating one for you if you don't have one.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I've got one, Steve. If that's, I'll ask one on for the benefit of the group. You mentioned at the start, Rebecca, about even if you don't intend to use them, to kind of make a land grab for all of the accounts, your TikTok, your Instagram. When we set up the Business Swansea Twitter account, it just happened to be that at Business Swansea was available. How much should we stress around what the username is, and how much should we stress around making sure that's consistent across all the platforms?
It is easier if you can get the same username. So for example, when I started off on one platform, and I know I was going to be on different platforms, I wanted Purple Dog, because obviously Purple Dog is easier than Purple Dog UK, but Purple Dog was taken on some platforms and not others. And it's much easier for me to come on to something like this, or on my customers, or on hard materials like leaflets, to say, oh, you can find us on social media at Purple Dog UK. Because if they go to Twitter, if they go to Facebook, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same username. That's not always possible. And the same with choosing your username. It's much easier if you don't have numbers or spaces or underscores, because saying purple, hi, I'm at purple underscore dog underscore UK doesn't flow quite so easily when you're trying to communicate those things. It's not always possible. Ideally, it should be the closer you can get it associated to your business name, or your, if you are very much your business, your name, the better. But it's not crucial. The more, you know, most people are only going to be on one or two platforms. So it should be relatively easy to then choose a username that's going to be across those two platforms. And of course, some platforms don't allow you, like Facebook sometimes allows you to choose your username at the start of your page, and sometimes you have to have 20 people following you before you can change it. So it does depend. And some of these platforms you can change your username easily. Facebook will generally allow you to change it once and then not again. Instagram, you can change it as long as it's available. And of course, some platforms only allow you, like Twitter is very short. So I think it's 15 characters. So if you're then, sometimes it's best to start on the short, you know, the shorter ones, because if you have, say, Business Swansea helping, that's a rubbish example, but off the top of my head, that's not going to fit on Twitter. So you have to think about, this is why having a plan at the outset really helps. And then if you do want to, if you're worried that, well, my audience might change and I might want to be on Facebook, you can at least then go in and get the username, but then just leave it blank and not do anything with it, so that should your strategy change and you need to be using Facebook, you've got it there, and it's not a massive switch for people to find you there if you find that's going to be the case.
Great. We've got another question from S. Milne.
Hello there. Hi. Thanks for this morning. It's been great. Couple of questions.
Yeah.
I've done what you've said already now, and I've set the business up with everything.
Yeah.
But I've actually gone and put the bio and everything on, and we've put our logo and everything on. But I haven't used them yet, and we've already got some people following us.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
You can always put in your bio, we are more active on.
Right. Okay. Right.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes. It won't have any detrimental effect to us if we start doing it fairly soon, will it?
No.
No. Okay. And the other thing, with Instagram, because I'm just a Facebook user personally, And Instagram and Pinterest is completely new to me.
Yeah.
So are there tutorials, or can you look it up on YouTube? Because I've gone into Instagram. We've had the web people set it up for us.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at the icons and I don't know what any of them mean. So I don't really know where to begin, and I don't want to make a mistake on it because we've already got people on there awaiting our content. So
I would say don't panic about making a mistake, because you can always delete things. Yes, mistakes do stay out there forever if you make really bad mistakes, as we've seen in the media with certain people putting things out there on social media that they shouldn't do. But if it's like, oh, I've spelt something wrong, you know, you can either go in and edit or you can delete it. So don't, especially when you're starting out, don't be afraid, because if you're afraid, you'll never do it.
Okay.
And people are forgivable. There are loads, if you Google, there are loads of beginners guides, both on on Instagram, on YouTube videos, and help topics and blogs. Even my website has some basic blogs and things on there. There are courses out there, but I'm sure if that's something that a lot of people would find useful, Steve and Matt can probably put on a session where we go through the basics of getting started or how to post, because Instagram has become such a bigger platform, because it's not, but I would always say start with the feed, the posts, because there's much more to it now with reels and videos and all sorts. But you want to start with the feed and start with the basics and not be overwhelmed.
Thanks. And on Facebook, there are stories and there are posts.
Yeah.
Have you got preference to one or the other? And if you try to do like I've done what you've said not to do, because I started putting things on Facebook with likes and everything, and because we're trying to get the website live as well, and we've got an EPOS system coming on in the shop, I just haven't got time in the day to get it all done, so it's all got a bit quiet again now. So would I be better to perhaps just do, like you said, once a week and just try that and then build it up then?
Definitely.
Time.
Definitely. And maybe start with one platform. So, and think about your audience. Where are they more likely to be, and start with that one, get familiar with that one. And when you're feeling comfortable and confident with that and you're kind of in a working pattern with that, then perhaps pick up another. Don't try to do it all at once, because you'll just go.
How have people found us on Instagram? Because we've got about 300 followers on Facebook now, and we haven't even asked them to follow us. They've just
It will be email. So your email that you use with it suggests it to people. Also, people will just look, particularly on things like Facebook. They'll look for companies and things.
Right. Okay. And would you use posts, or because Facebook probably is going to be the one I just keep doing, but more consistent to start with now? Would you do that on stories or posts or both?
So are your audience younger or older?
7 to 90. We're a gift shop. We sell everything from fairy dust to ballet costumes to statues.
I would do sort of more fun younger posts in stories for the younger people. For my age group and up, I'd probably do more static posts on Facebook, because we can cope with that.
And sorry, one last question.
Yeah, no problem.
Inspirational quotes. Any suggestions of places that you can find them?
Oh, if you Google motivational quotes, there's about 1 billion websites that will come up with 50, and you can then start like, do I want success motivational quotes, or do I want healthy motivational quotes? You'll find loads.
Ah, lovely. Thanks very much. That's great.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? I don't think we have. Okay, Rebecca, thanks very much for your time. Excellent. We've also got a couple of support organisations who are attending today. There's one support organisation that we work with very closely, and I think the idea will be for future sessions we'll be asking other support organisations to come in and tell you briefly a bit more about what they do and how they can support. So we've got a couple of Business Wales advisors here. Business Wales is a Welsh Government programme that provides free advice and guidance to Welsh businesses. I'd like to introduce one of their business startup advisors to give a brief overview of the support that they can offer startups in Swansea. So Howell or Shahid, please, if you want to take the reins, please do.
Okay, Steve, thanks for that. I'll just put a couple of slides. It'll only be a very short overview of what Business Wales does in general. So I'll try and put these slides up. This is the one I'm looking for. It has started loading, but it's only sort of loaded halfway. It is coming.
Okay. There you are. I think it's uploaded now.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Okay, I can just see it now as well. Okay, so you should be looking at the sort of blank Business Wales slide there, which is the first slide I've got. Right, there's only about 4 slides that I'm going to use on this of the 12 that I've got on the screen. So I'll tell you quickly then about Business Wales. Right, Business Wales is the Welsh Government's fully funded support service. So we offer a free service to our clients. Now we help and support entrepreneurs to access information, advice and support that they may require to start, run or grow their businesses. No matter where the business is in its life cycle, from startup to growth phase, Business Wales has the skills, experience and knowledge with its advisors to guide and assist all the businesses. Now we tailor the level of support to what the business generally requires. We offer online support as well as online workshops and online individual advice. We've all been, as advisors, we've been working from home for the last 18 months now. That will probably change as things open up, right? And we'll get back to the offices and back to normal. But all the support that we provide at the moment, be it one-to-one or through webinars or through courses, is done online. Now, as far as myself is concerned, I'm Howell Bassett. I'm a business advisor with Business Wales. I cover Swansea and Neath Talbot, and I stretch as far as Bridgend. My work colleagues, Shahidul Islam, Shahid tends to cover Swansea and Neath Talbot also, and a bit of Bridgend like myself. Eve Goldsberry is another business advisor. She covers the same patch. And we've got Miranda Thomas, who's on here today. She covers the Big Ideas Wales project for the young entrepreneurs. So we've each got our individual patches that we try to cover and concentrate and work closely with the local authority. So there's a list, this slide lists the main types of support that we can offer in Business Wales. We offer general business advice to pre-start and post-start or existing businesses. We've got a tendering advisor who offers tendering advice if any of the businesses want to tender for public sector contracts through the Sell to Wales website. We've got a HR advisor, an equality and diversity advisor, who offers specialist advice on employment contracts and employment issues. We've got an international trade advisor who can help businesses with exporting and importing goods and services information. We have a skills advisor within Business Wales to help businesses to recruit staff, perhaps on apprentice programs and trainee programs. We offer our clients a mentoring service where we've got a series where we've got many sort of business people or people in business then that volunteer. They're all experienced business people that offer their services free to Business Wales as mentors, which we put them in touch with businesses. Business Wales, we offer an online support service via our website. It's called Boss Business Online Support Service. Now there are some 60 workshops, probably more than 60 workshops on that particular BOSS website. It's free to use. You have to register for it via the Business Wales website, but it's an excellent self-employment learning facility that you can use free of charge, and all our clients can use that free of charge. We run workshops, webinars on a wide range of subjects such as accessing finance, starting your business, growing your business, tendering, support for public sector contracts, marketing and recruiting staff. And we've got a team of business advisors throughout Wales who offer our clients whatever support that they need. Now, during the pandemic, as I just mentioned, this support has mainly had to be undertaken online. But what I will say is that all the services we provide online are really working well. So just to summarise then what we do in Business Wales quickly, and then I'll finish, right? We offer general business advice, business planning to pre-start on existing businesses. We offer advice to growing businesses, whatever type of advice that they may want. We offer advice and support on self-employment. We offer advice on marketing and promoting your business. And we help businesses to seek and access finance. We have another service in Business Wales, linked to Business Wales, called a super fast broadband service, which is again a free service to established businesses. Now we can offer them ICT support, and what Superfast often do is show the clients how to link their website effectively to social media to drive more traffic and more customers through it for them. We help customers find suitable business premises, obviously very often in liaison with the local authority, and we signpost clients to networking events, obviously such as this event today. Another excellent service we provide is the Big Ideas Wales service for young entrepreneurs aged between 18 to 24 years, and that is another specialist. The young entrepreneurs that we've got get specialist support then if they're aged between 18 to 24 to develop their knowledge and their skill and their businesses, hopefully. Now, I'm just going to skip through a few slides here to the last slide. Now, if you want to contact Business Wales, the contact details I put up there on screen. There's an email address that you can contact us also. Business Wales is on Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook if you want to engage with us through those social media channels. So thank you for listening, and I hope you found that presentation useful.
Thanks very much, Howell. Much appreciated for attending today and giving us an overview of how Business Wales can support some of our attendees today. We've got a little bit of time, so has anyone got any specific questions for Howell about Business Wales? If you have, raise your hand. If not, we'll move on. Nope. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, I'll just
As Howell said, you know, I would encourage you to have a look at the Business Wales website. There's a lot of detail in there about how Business Wales can support not only startup businesses but established ones as well. So have a look on the website, and you'll be surprised about how much sort of things they're involved in and what advice and guidance they can actually give. Howell also mentioned about the Superfast Business Wales service as well. I advise you to have a look on their website as well with regards to some of their online courses, primarily around sort of digital marketing and promoting your business online as well. So I encourage you to have a look at that. So thanks, Howell. Thanks again.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That's great. So all of you should have received an invite to our Business Swansea Enterprise Club Facebook group when you were invited to this session. This group has been established to provide a platform for Swansea startups to share ideas and experiences, market your new business, and have access to all the latest business support content, and to help one another really in your critical formative years. I'd encourage you all to join this group and be part of this exciting new business network in Swansea. It's something that we've only just established, but it's something that we're really looking to grow and build on. So please join. I've also put in the chat, we also have a couple of startup grants available for startups and new businesses less than 2 years old in Swansea. So feel free to email startupgrant@swansea.gov.uk for more information if you'd like to potentially apply for this funding. Again, I put that email address in the chat. So, like I said, this session is going to be held monthly. So thanks again to Rebecca for facilitating the session today. Really good and informative. Our next session will be held on the 5th of August at 10 AM and will be facilitated by a legal expert, Nia Godsmark from Peter Lynn and Partners. The topic will provide an overview of the legal fundamentals when starting a business. We will send you all an invite in due course. So that's it for today. Thanks very much again for attending, participating, and we really look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you everyone and have a lovely day. Bye now.